Hello everybody and welcome to another vintage toy haul, which is very long overdue actually, because I went to the vintage toy shop that my mate owns about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and I've been making this for a while because I thought I'd lost one of the items at one point, but then I found it. It was on my bedroom floor all the time. So yeah, let's get through it. Let's start off in Corgi for the letter C with the most expensive item I bought on that Saturday. This is a mint boxed Corgi Toys Bermuda Taxi by special request apparently. The box, as you can see, is in amazing condition. There are a few scuffs and creases here and there. It's quite an interesting model because it doesn't really specifically say, other than Bermuda Taxi, what it is, but it is clearly based on a Ford Thunderbird. So let's get it out and have a look. I mean, obviously there's the all the Corgi logos and that all over it, and this is model number 430.
I've got to be very careful with this as I get it out. And yeah, here she comes. Now,
one of the reasons, aside from it being in generally good condition, that it was so expensive is this little cardboard ring that goes around the cab to protect it. This is the original ring that would have came with it when it was brand new, and it is still there. My mate offered to take it away and make this a lot cheaper for me, but I said no, this ring came with this model, so it's going to stay with it. And here is the Bermuda Taxi. It's a weird design, but I really like it. So yeah, as you can see, it is the classic Ford Thunderbird basis, and it's got taxi logos all there, and on that side as well. It does actually have a driver inside, and it's got like a little frilly fringe like you had on old style carriages. So the body is white, it has a blue sort of canvas fringe roof, which I believe is actually the rarer variant. There's no cracks on the windshield. It has an unpainted grey base, and it's still got really good suspension as well. There's a Bermuda sticker on the back. The brake lights are painted. Yeah, I'd seen this a couple of times before when I went to my mate's shop, and I didn't buy it when he first showed it me. But then I thought I'll just get it when I go back, and lo and behold, it was there. So yeah, I'm going to have to put this back in its box and be very careful now. Next item from Corgi, and actually one of the first items that I decided on buying at my mate's shop, is this. This is a Dodge Q Fargo tipper truck. Yes, admittedly it's not in the best condition. There are a lot of paint chips all over it. And it was, to be fair, in one of the cheaper boxes that my mate put aside for me. But the bonnet still opens, and you can still see all the engine detail. No scratches on the windscreens. Still got the tipper function that goes up like that, as you can see. And to be fair, even though it is a little bit wobbly, it still has good suspension and still runs well. So yeah, I just like the colours. It reminds me of something that you might see in one of the old Jerry Anderson things. Some of the trucks that they have in the background of that. But yeah, that's that one. Another Corgi toy from that same box as the Dodge is, again, a slightly battered, but not so much, Corgi Toys Whiz Wheels Ford Capri. I have a later version that Corgi did of this in the late 90s, early noughties, but this is the original one, and the other one doesn't have opening doors. So yeah, that's really cool. It's still got good suspension, still runs really well. Yeah, the only problem with it is that there are just a few paint chips here and there. This is a Corgi Junior's Rockets British stock car, and I already have one of these, but this one's slightly different, not only because of the colours, but also because this one doesn't have an opening bonnet, and the other one I have does. This one's in quite good nick. Again, like, you know, because it's 50 years old, there are going to be some paint chips, but it's still in really good condition, and because it's Corgi Rockets, you can take the chassis off and the separate axles if you want to, but I'm not going to do that. But yeah, that's really nice. Still runs really well, as they are supposed to do, because that's what they were designed for. Last Corgi model for today is a Corgi Junior's Whiz Wheels Jaguar XJ6. Now, I'd never seen them in this colour before. The only one I've ever seen is one that's already in my collection, which I've had for about 10 years and is really, really battered. So this one will replace that one. There's really, really nice detailing on everywhere. The boot opens up, still got really nice detailing inside. I've always loved the XJ6 design, but oh yeah, and of course it's still got the original tow hook. On to Dinky now, and the only Dinky toy that I bought this time, surprisingly, isn't in very good condition. It's from the same box as the Corgi Ford Capri and the Corgi Dodge tipper truck. This is Dinky die-cast Chevrolet Impala. Yes, there are a lot of paint chips all over pretty much every vertice and everywhere in between, but it's a nice model. I've never seen this one before. It's still got really good suspension. It runs really well. There's no cracks or deep scratches on the glass, and the bonnet opens to reveal the engine, and the boot opens to reveal the boot space. It's got a nicely detailed interior and just nice detail all over. And here we have two model cars from a company which I've never heard of. So on the left we have a Simca Aronde, and on the right we have a Peugeot 203, both made by a company called Jouef, Jouef. They apparently made double O gauge, or in the European terms, HO scale model railways, and these were the cars that they made to go with them. My mate told me that apparently the model railways themselves were crap, but the cars that went with them were really nice. So I'll just pick them up. So I mean, obviously you can see my hand, and this is how small they are, and they're really nicely detailed. There's no interior or even glass in the windows. It's literally just very primitive, but they have given them white wall tires, and yeah, it's really, really nice. And you can see it says 203 on the bottom and HO scale, made in France. So that's the Peugeot. Here is the Simca. Looks a lot like a Vauxhall Wyvern. Then same again, white wall tyres. Oh god, they've even painted the brake lights on this one. I didn't notice. Has that one got painted brake lights? Yes, it has. Well, that's detail that you don't get on a lot of things these days anyway. Now going on to L for Lone Star, or Lone Star Impy. This is an Impy Toys Gran Turismo. It's obviously based off a Corvette Stingray. I've seen several different versions of this one over time. There's a darker, sort of a dark greeny maroon coloured one that's just got a little racing number on the sides. This one has stripes up the middle. Again, it's not in the best of condition. There are a lot of paint chips, but it still has really good suspension, still rolls really well, and the bonnet opens and the doors open either side. I do have a mint boxed version of one of these that's in the dark green one that has different wheels entirely, and also has front steering with the different variants in colours. On the outside you've got different coloured interiors as well, so I'm not sure of the rarity of this particular one, but yeah, I just had to have that. And now we're going on to Matchbox, and the first one that I bought was this. This is a Matchbox regular wheels bulldozer. A little bit battered, but the main reason why I bought this, it still has its original tracks. Admittedly, they keep popping off, but I'd rather them keep popping off than them disintegrate as soon as I touch them. And that's why I'm having to be so careful with this one, because there is that danger that these will just perish. But it's still got the original funnel, the driver's still there, and it's still got the bucket. The next item that I bought, again, not in the best condition, it's a Matchbox regular wheels Ford Galaxy police car. Now, I bought this because this is unusual. I've only ever seen this one in the red fire chief car livery. I've never seen it as a police car. but it still has the red police light on top, and it still has all the decals on the side. It's just that there's loads of paint chips on it. The suspension has gone a bit, but it's still got the tow hook. So yeah, that's a bonus, isn't it? The next item in Matchbox is this Matchbox Scorpions. I believe it's a Porsche 918 or something. I'm not sure. But basically, this I think would have been like a little slot car like Scale Electrics. I think Scorpions were a derivation of Matchbox motorways, but these ones were made for, I think, the 80s market, because it's an all plastic body. There's no die cast, but presumably there's metal bits in the motor inside. Yeah, it's a nice little thing. Very, very cheaply made. It's quite heavy though at the back, obviously because of the motor. But yeah, I've never heard of Scorpions before. The last thing I bought in Matchbox is a Matchbox Superfast DAF, or DAF, I think it's DAF, grain lorry. This is unusual for two reasons. One, you don't see this model very often. Two, this one has the Superfast wheels, the thin Superfast wheels. And the only one that I've ever seen, which is in my collection, has the regular wheels. And it's in really good condition, this little model. The top does come off. There's nothing in there, but if you wanted to put something in there, you could do it to your heart's content, and it does tip up like that. The axles aren't bent, but yeah, I just had to get that one because I just like the model. Now for something completely different. If you live in the UK and remember Home Pride, the company that used to make flour for cooking and baking, then you'll remember the little mascot, the little Home Pride man, who was sort of a chibi Mr. Ben looking style character in a black suit and bowler hat. In the same tray that the Chevrolet Impala, the Ford Capri and the Dodge Tipper were all in, there was a couple of Home Pride things. And I saw one and I just thought, okay, I just love that so much. And I remember seeing something similar to this in a charity shop a few weeks ago and not buying it. But then I saw this and I just thought, okay, he needs to come home with me. Oops, here he is. This is the Home Pride man, and it's a little money box. I don't know how old this is. There might be a date on the bottom, but I can't tell. Yes, there is a date. 1978 this guy's from. So he is... Sorry, just doing the math. Yeah. He's about 40. He's 45 years old, which isn't bad. I mean, there is on his left shoe a little bit of the plastic moulding has started to sort of fray a little bit, and he's got a few scratches all over him. But there's no paint come off him, and he still functions as a money box. There's that. So yeah, I just had to have him in my life because he's been a big part of my life, really. This next item, technically, you can't really class it as a toy, but it was in the same box as the little Home Pride man and the first three cars that I showed. And I saw it and I just thought, I just really like that. It's an OXO tin. Yes, it's battered, but I just love it. Now, for those of you who aren't from the UK, OXO make stock cubes. That's why it says OXO cubes on the front, and you would have put them inside. And they're very nice to just, if you just pour them on, and you don't even have to put the stock in a sauce or anything. You can just pour some hot water on the OXO cube and just drink it. It's a bit like Bovril. It's very nice. And my granddad used to like it, but I just had to have this. I think there's like some sort of blurb inside. I'll just see if I can read it.
Children love OXO, or OXO with milk, and thrive on it. OXO produces delicious soups and gravies instantly and enriches all meat dishes. OXO, the cook's best friend. And of course, don't forget, it was a time in history when everybody in the British broadcasting industry used to talk like this.
Now this next lot of toys, they're all plastic figurines, very cheaply made. None of them are painted. You might be thinking, George, why on earth did you buy these? And a couple of good reasons. First good reason is these are all Kellogg's toys. So Kellogg's, who obviously make the cereal, so these would have been given out in packets of cereal as little freebies. But these are ones from the 1960s. And the second reason why I bought these are all toys of things from two shows which have been a big part of my childhood and to a certain extent are still quite a big part of my entertainment today. So let's start with these ones over here first. So this first lot of figures are all figures of Thunderbird characters. So here we have Jeff Tracy himself. Thunderbirds are go. And they came in lots of different colours. Some of these are, not too expensive. A couple of them are. Now this one, I believe it's supposed to be Virgil Tracy, one of the boys. I'm not sure. The next figure, which was actually the first figure out of these that I actually looked at and realised it was Thunderbirds, is Brains Hackenbacker. Well, Mr. Tracy. Yeah, sorry. So that's him. Then we have Partner, you call Milady. Average certain device at the foot of your app box. Milady. That's a Parker, who's Lady Penelope Crichton Ward's chauffeur and trusty assistant. And then we've got the baddie or one of the returning baddies, the Hood. You'll get on my own brother in the midst. I will use you to get that power. By far the most expensive out of all of these, it's probably the most recognisable out of all these. It's the Thunderbird 4, Gordon Tracy's mini submersible. This next figure, this is, I believe, from one of the Olympics ranges that Kellogg's did in the 60s. Which Olympics, I'm not sure. This is obviously somebody running with the Olympic torch. Although, it kind of looks like somebody just running with a big ice cream cone. These are all figures from the stop motion animation show, The Magic Roundabout. So on the left, you've got Florence, and then you've got Dylan, who's playing his guitar, and then you've got Time for bed, said Zebedee. Down. So, yeah, I just love how they've done his moustache and the little buttons on his coat and his bow, and of course his spring at the bottom. But yeah, they're really, really nice little figures, and apparently there were some smaller versions of these Magic Roundabouts ones, which I've actually found a couple of them on eBay, and apparently they are the harder to find ones. So if you're into that sort of thing, look out for the smaller Magic Roundabout Kellogg's figures. Now, I want to reveal this next item to you because they're a bit strange, really, in terms of my other collections. So I was looking through my mate's shop and I found this box on the floor, and I started rummaging through it and I realised what they were, and I never knew this company made these figures. And because I used to watch a bit of this show when I was younger, and also I've seen a lot of clips that Robot Chicken have done when taken off this show, I thought I've got to buy some of these. These are Schleich figures, who make the horse figurines, but they're not horses. They're Smurfs. Or Smurf characters, really. So, yeah, well, I say all of them are Schleich, one of them isn't. So, obviously, here is Papa Smurf. And, yeah, I think these are, late 70s, early 80s figures. Some of them, including Papa Smurf, still have the Schleich label on. We all know what Papa Smurf looks like. So there's him. So there you are. My long overdue video is now no longer overdue. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you like what you see, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a cheeky comment if you fancy. And I will see you in one of my other guises in the next video. Cheers, guys. Take care.
And if you cannot obey, then you will wither away, and your feet will become very sore. And you'll open up your window and you'll suddenly find that a peanut has knocked on your door. It doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. If you understand this, then you're mad. It doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. And the singing is also quite bad.